Welcome back to another edition of Impact Attack. It's your Impact Attack. And you know me, I am the vet, Jamie Williams, the opinion haver himself, and I'm coming to you live at this moment, recorded if you're listening on Channel Attitude. But I am not alone. You may notice that there is no Colin again. I mean, I guess did we just realize? And by the way, I'll tell you who is here. First of all, I'm going to say that Brandon is here with me as always. The VB cannot be stopped, even if there is no C. I don't know. I think we just proved overall that a C is not necessary sometimes. Is that the case? Would you say?
That depends, though. What kind of a sea are we talking about here? We can go on a million different directions with that.
Uh, yeah, well, definitely a million directions. I was talking about Colin. Colin is what I was talking about. That kind of a C. He's a
Yeah,
C himself sometimes.
I like that sea.
Yeah. We would almost rather have Colin if we wanted to add an extra 40 minutes of bullshit to this show, but unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who you are, we get a leaner, meaner edition of Impact Attack. When we're all business and a little fun. Well, I mean, we sprinkle some fun in there, but mostly a lot of business. But before we get to the business, is there any fun that we want to talk about before we get started tonight?
More changes coming to the WWE with them apparently now allowing some of the lingo that Vince had originally banned. So that's kind of a little bit different to see. A little bit of different feel.
Little bit. I mean, they were sneaking it in here and there. If we're talking about, well, why don't you tell the people exactly what the official news is or whatever, if you like, just in case
Well,
anybody didn't hear.
well, it's been well known for years that there are certain words that are phrases that Vince prefers to use on air, and some that he doesn't want people using at all. So with him being gone and new people in charge, there's a lot more freedom in things you can say on TV, such as you can say wrestling and title and belt instead of it's a championship, pal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I started hearing more over the past handful of years that people would let the word wrestling slip, and you wouldn't call somebody a wrestler. That just wouldn't be done. Um,
They're
but certain guys,
superstars.
yeah, superstars, and I get that to a degree. Um,
Why not
but
both?
yeah, exactly. I think it's nobody says, like, even when you talk to fans that have only ever watched the WWE their entire life, they don't say, oh yeah, I watch sports entertainment. Like, no one says that. No one's ever said that. They still call it wrestling. It's always been wrestling. The middle W in WWE is still wrestling. It's not a shameful thing, and it didn't help it at all in their standings with real entertainment like Hollywood. Like, no one thought any higher of them, like that it was less lowbrow of entertainment form just because they called it sports entertainment. It didn't fool anybody, right?
Right. I always thought that's in a weird roundabout way that sports entertainment was like a PC way of saying professional wrestling, or a politically correct way.
Right. And we all know what people usually think of forced political correctness, right? I mean, it it
Like
takes
like
all
like
the fun
Vince
away of progressiveness.
yeah, like Vince McMahon has his own weird version of that. It's like the most bizarre thing. But then again, he is a very bizarre man.
Yes, a very bizarre, disgraced retired man. Um, well, have you been checking out the WWE programming a little bit more since you said you might give it a chance?
Unfortunately, I haven't had not much of a chance, so I've had to be just working just so much lately. But I've been reading the results. I mean, it's been looking like an improved product, not the one that I'd like to see, but it's making steps to improve and get better. So, we'll see where it's at in maybe 3 months to see exactly how these changes are taking place and how it's affected the product.
Yeah, I think as somebody that's, consistently watched every WWE, produced program for the past, let me count, 27 years, I can definitely tell you that the programming has not. It's what has happened is they've eliminated some of the really really awful stuff, and
Right.
now it's just back to being bad and boring, right? But that's a step. That's a step. It's not the whole way. Now they're at where they were about 4 or 5 years ago in terms of like their entertainment value. But it's still not gonna. Nobody's gonna turn it on and be amazed right out of the gate. But it's going to be better than it has been the past couple years, or even considering like if we take that pandemic era and throw that out, just throw that in the trash. As soon as they came back, everything's been really, really, really awful and terrible, almost confrontationally terrible. Like they're saying, how can we run off the most fans that we possibly could in the shortest amount of time? So now they're back up to the baseline of boring and predictable. But I know people would disagree because Brock Lesnar flipped a ring over a with a bulldozer at SummerSlam. So it may seem like it's exciting, but may I remind you, Braun Strowman was flipping over things with his bare hands several years ago. So that's not that. It's not even that original in terms of what they've been doing in recent years. So now what they've got to focus on is, I think Triple H is bringing in the pieces that he wants. Because let's talk about SmackDown. We all saw a re-debut on SmackDown, or we heard about it at least. They brought Crossright back. I could always tell he was one of those guys that even on the hospital bed, Triple H was like, "Don't sign anything," just.
Yep.
And we saw him make a surprise return. Not only a surprise return in that, we didn't really expect it, but also a surprise return in that it didn't necessarily even fit the situation, even compared to how he left. Like he wasn't doing anything special on Monday Night Raw last time we saw him dressed like, let's face it, some sort of a BDSM. This looks like it would fit right at home in Billy Corgan's NWA.
And even Drew called it out on Twitter.
Right, which Drew called out on Twitter. I forget what he said. He did use the word gimp.
He did make a BDSM joke about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now we saw him doing nothing on Monday Night Raw all the way into injecting himself in the main event picture. So that's a little bit of a surprise. I'm not gonna say it's an unwelcome surprise, because we still got about a little less than a month away before Clash at the Castle. So they've got to figure out how does he fit into this story. But as I said on my appearance on the Friday Night Smack Talk over on the PWC Network with Jimmy T and Jeff Lippman, you saw those punches. If you saw those punches he threw on Drew McIntyre in the aisle, that's bad. If you're a crazy psycho killer, you got to throw better punches than that. Really, really awful and embarrassing. But other than that,
the stairhead shot looked pretty violent though.
Yeah, he made people forget about it, but still, don't give anybody any ammunition ever in this business. So,
Or maybe they were hanging out in Swinger's dungeon. Lab rat.
Ooh, yeah. So that Exhibit A plus Ricochet just coming on TV and getting a strong win out of nowhere when he really hadn't been doing a lot, even though he was the Intercontinental Champion, but then he disappeared off TV for a while inexplicably. And then coming in getting a strong win over a featured person in Corbin. I would say Happy Corbin's days are numbered. We may see Baron Corbin again, but I think we're probably going to be done with Happy Corbin soon. We saw Shayna Baszler go from obscurity to number one contender. So, like, we see Hunter putting his his favorite reliable pieces back in prominent positions. Those are the things that you can see if you're looking at like what are the changes that have been made. And but if you watch the show, it's still the same old SmackDown. It's still the same old Raw right now. It's a little bit more exciting because if you know the politics of it, but for the average person, they may barely notice an uptick. They probably just go along and, like just continue watching like always. Trying to think if there's something else to talk
And me
about.
being somebody who loves drama, I think that would be great to figure out a way to get into the show, is putting that backstage and somehow incorporating all that into the show. But still, like you can still do that while keeping the kayfabe. There's ways of doing that. He's got to get clever and creative.
Yeah. Well, see, here's a comment from Javi, who says the Marks think that bringing back the indie darlings will make any real difference. Just bringing them back in of themselves won't make a real difference. But if those indie darlings were capable and they weren't being able to show what they could do before, then it will make a difference. I mean, these guys got hired for a reason at one point. And I think one of the big things that people don't seem to get is Triple H has scouted or had someone scout for him, but must have approved all of these different guys over a period of several years because he thought they would be a great help in moving the company forward into the future. Yeah, some of them were indie darlings, but he brought a lot of people. I mean, he signed a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds. He signed plenty of people that didn't have wrestling experience. He's got all the people that were there are there in NXT now. Pretty much 90% of them are still people that he signed, or they still had to pass tryouts and stuff. So he's casting a wide net, and the people that he thought were ready, and he tried to get moved up. Well, once they got moved up, it was like there was no. It's like, who are these people? Well, even people that maybe there were certain writers or producers or something that would push for a guy to get called up. But then once Vince McMahon sees him, it's like, well, I didn't ask for this, so I don't want this. It was so. One of the issues with Vince is how out of touch he was with his own people. He's not working with his developmental system hand in hand. He's seeing these people for the first time when they show up, when they report to Raw or SmackDown for work. He's seeing them for the first time. He has no idea who they are. That's not how the company should be run. Do you think that, if a pro sports team calls up one of the minor league people, they're just doing it without having seen that person or knowing what he's capable of? Like, that just doesn't happen. So
Yeah, if I'm people at NXT or Triple H or Hunter or somebody and I'm pitching somebody to Vince, I'm showing them footage of them.
Right. And he's not going to want to look at it. So now what you're going to have is you're going to have like a real communication between NXT and WWE, and you're going to see like when Triple H gets a guy, he knows who they are. That or lady, as you saw when he's just like, okay, Dakota Kai's coming back, Io Shirai's coming up, Bailey's here. I know what all these people can do, so this is my idea. Is it a great idea? We'll see. We'll let it pan out. But for now, I just feel comfortable. I feel more comfortable for the company that there's a real cooperation between the developmental level and the main roster level. So. That's one thing to look at going forward, I think, which is cool.
That will definitely be an improvement, is like the communication between the main roster and the developmental.
Yeah. It should not have been two separate entities. It should not have been competing entities. It should not have been anything other than what it was always supposed to be. An in-house developmental factory that turns out the kind of wrestlers that are WWE TV ready. For better or worse, that's what you get.
And if you want to do a third brand that caters to the indie fans or the hardcore fans, that's fine. You got the platform for it.
Yeah, you can still make money with NXT. I mean, there's no reason you can't. So We'll see. We'll see. And yeah, I think that's enough WWE talk.
I think we hit the, yeah, we hit the 15-minute mark.
15-minute mark is pretty good. So I don't know. Should we just move right into the Impact coverage?
Sounds good.
All right. So we're gonna start off this episode of Impact after the recaps, of course, because we got to get those recaps. And let me tell you something right off the top. Let me tell you something, brother.
Let me tell you something there, Mean Gene.
Yeah, I don't like, one of the things I don't like about WWE is the heavy use of recaps. However, I like the Impact use of recaps. They do a nice recap at the start. You know what happened.
Quick little catch up. Here's what happened last week. Here's where we ended it. Here's where we're starting.
It's almost never more than a minute, so they get whatever whatever they need in, and then throughout the show they give you footage of things that you really may not have seen. Whether that's BTI or they do their flashback moment of the week or just stuff like that, or maybe even stuff from earlier in the episode, but they're not going to replay the whole damn thing, right? So
although I think they play a little bit too much of the recaps from like the past stuff of like old Impact footage. I think they try to kill a little bit of time with those.
They do, but it's fine because I did forget that, so I need to see it. I don't remember any of this, including this thing that they showed on this episode, even though I'm almost positive I did watch it when it happened. I still had no recollection of it.
I just remember when Mia was in Dollhouse and they came out to Doll Parts by Hulk because Billy Corgan got it for him.
Right. Yeah, so in any case, we start this episode, and it's a match. We usually start off with a match. So it's going to be Deonna Purrazzo versus Rosemary. And they show footage from the last match pay-per-view where, Deonna was involved in that three-way. The match, the wrestling three-way. That's what it was. So, yeah. There's going to be a couple more of these, like where they take stuff from Ric Flair's last match and, because a lot of the people from Impact were involved in that. So we're going to see that throughout the night. As I was watching this match, I noticed that the crowd was chanting Rosemary, and then I was thinking, like, is this where the Rosemary chants came from last week when somebody was doing a backstage thing? Like, was it from this? They were taping
Very
that
possible.
Interview while this match was going on?
That's possible. Didn't think about that.
I think it might have been the same one. Yeah. And then let's see. So Jessica causes a distraction. She's trying to get involved, which allows Deonna to hit the schoolgirl. And now it's, Decay's got a little bit of looks like they got to have their own little discussion here, which is going to happen later. Any thoughts on this match? And did you like this finish?
I like the finish very well. Plays into the dynamic of the team. Helps establish the new Jessica personality of her being like easily agitated and like, oh no, you didn't, and kind of going after Deonna, which kind of led to her friend losing the match and played out nicely later on. And probably my favorite segment of the entire show.
Really? So it was all downhill from here, huh? Okay.
Oh no, the segment later on was my favorite of the show, where they're later together.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right. Well, the chat is begging to be acknowledged. All right. That's we can do that real quick. We have Buckshot Kid, we have Lab Rat, we have Lisbeth. Okay, and Javi. Anybody else?
Javi, you got Lab Rat, awesome Lab Rat.
Yeah.
Alexa.
Alexa. Oh, is she on Twitch?
Yes, sir.
Alexa on Twitch. Okay, I don't have that pulled up. But yes, you all deserve acknowledgement. Now, please let us go on with the show, please.
As always, we appreciate and love y'all.
Yep, you guys are heroes. Now, here are the people who are not heroes. Honor No More. Okay, they're having their meeting. Okay, and yeah, boo, Honor No More. And let me tell you what I don't like about this. Besides the hideous lighting, which is still here. Brandon, did you see that Mark that replied to my pinned tweet out of nowhere saying that he liked the lights and he wanted to start a hashtag of keep the lights on? Did you see that?
I did. Hey, any publicity is good publicity.
Right. Now, if any of you guys any
It
of you
means
other guys,
we're making a difference.
yeah, we got some random person vanity searching impact stuff just so that he could try to start arguments about stuff that he's completely has no idea about. The funniest thing about it to me was his response that like if I could, no, I'm not going to pull it up. But he said something about me having a big ego, telling Impact and warning Impact like they would have any care of it. So I'm just like, the things that go through my mind, like I could fucking destroy this guy's life with a couple of tweets if I wanted to. But I practice what I preach, guys. And what do I always tell you guys when I'm talking about social media? What's my number one thing? I think back to the Terry Runnels on Dark Side of the Ring. Don't sell it. You don't sell it. You don't sell it. So I do the little funny, comeback. I put the meme of General Zod saying, "Why do you say this to me when you know I will kill you for it?" as a joke, and then because this guy does not understand. It must be hard for him to go through life opening the internet and taking everything at face value. Like the ego I have, like I'm 100% serious about this. This is entertainment, and it's an ongoing joke that's been an ongoing joke for months and months that I've turned into content. And he just shows up and sees some random tweet and on the surface of it wants to make comments about it as if he knows the entire situation. Don't you just love that when someone walks in the middle of a movie and it starts complaining about stuff that they have no idea about because they missed the beginning of it? Like, isn't that everybody's favorite thing, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, something else about the match too is I thought it was interesting how they had the baby faces outnumber the heel, and it's like, where's Chelsea? And then all of a sudden, Raywall explains that, oh, she's getting ready for her wedding, or doing the best friend stuff, getting shit ready for the wedding, or something like that.
That during the previous match?
Yeah, the Rosemary Deanna match.
Okay.
Like Raywall covered Chelsea not being there.
Okay, all right, that's good. Yeah, because that's gonna play into my comments a little bit later, but yeah. So anyway, what I didn't like about this was that this is the same we still don't trust PCO gimmick that they've done like every time we've done it. Can we get over this already, or can you at least like switch it up or use some different language
or advance the story to the next chapter or something?
Yeah, what is this? Like, we don't know about you, PC. Why? He didn't do anything since the last time they said that, right? Did I forget something?
Exactly. Why not put the ultimate? Yeah, nothing's happened.
Did PCO do something that we missed? Was it on BTI? I don't know. Why is Eddie still not trusting him? Is it just because it's time to not trust him until it isn't?
I guess.
Yeah.
This storyline's been just like so weird and it's nonsensical.
Yeah. So we got that, and we had, of course, Vinny coming to the defense of PCO as always. So it's just this part is treading water, and I just kind of don't get it. But we go from that to Giselle, and she's with Gia, and no music underneath. Hey, that's a positive impact we made, right? Like, if you remember, they used to play music under these. So, but my ego, right? Giselle doesn't want her little death warrant picture because her eyebrows are crooked in the picture. So she gives it to, Gia. So now Gia has a nice photo.
I like those little quips, like that little sense of humor that she has. It's like that, just a little personality traits.
Now, Liz offers a reason why they don't trust PCO. It's because it's got to be the PCO ate Fat Eddie's lunch. That's probably what it was. Like his lunch probably went missing, and it was probably Zicky Dice that ate it, but he thought it was PCO. Is probably what happened. I think that's a good storyline, but we don't even get that. So anyway, Liz is writing Impact from the chat, and I know people are listening there, so go ahead and you can borrow that storyline. All right, now we're going to Black Taurus versus Brian Myers for the Digital Media Championship. It's a very prestigious championship. We get footage of Black Taurus from the Ric Flair's last match with his four-way with Laredo Kid and the other guys that were in it. Phoenix. What was the other one?
Laredo, was he in that?
It was Laredo, Phoenix, and God, what is that guy?
Bandito?
Yes, Bandito. It was Bandito. Pretty sure it was Bandito. Mm-hmm. Okay, so thoughts on this match as you drink that Diet Pepsi?
I thought it was weird placement to have like two members of Decay back to back, because it's like, you know, you hear the music hit and then it hits again. It's like, wait, what? Did we just see this?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But this is the best I've seen him actually look in the ring. It looked more crisp, but I did not like the finish. It really felt like it came off awkward. It was close to the ropes, bad ring positioning. Like, it looked like the ref shouldn't have even counted. Like, he had to, like, he knew it was going to be bad, and he had to deliberately just look away and look right at the shoulders to make the count. Because they were just, like, right into the ropes. Like, it shouldn't even been a count.
Yeah, it could have been better. So, yes. Second Schoolboy in as many matches. It's the second situation where you had 3 baby faces and 1 heel. Like, back to back is pretty noticeable. And then afterwards, unlike the first situation, the baby faces beat Myers up, you know, because how dare he cheat. And then I noticed this while Myers was on the ground selling the beating, and they're all in the ring. Like, there's like one strand of hair that was like across his face, and he was just like, he brushed it out of the way. Like, he's like, oh, I'm hurt. Oh, my hair. So, you know, that's always my favorite thing.
Or adjusting the knee pad or the elbow pad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, so when you said the Bessies looked or whatever, are you talking about Taurus or Myers?
Yeah, Taurus, yeah, like, so everything just looked like crisp and on point with everything that he hit tonight.
Yeah, he's really good. I just I like the look, and he's good in the ring. They haven't done a lot with him, but he's kind of here to learn. He's learning American stuff. I mean, that's what he's there to do, because he already knows how to do all the crazy shit like he did in that match at Ric Flair's last match. He knows how to do that stuff. So now this match, it looked like he just had a regular American style match, because that's all Brian Myers can do. He's not going to be able to switch up his style or anything really. He's just going to have this, you know, vanilla match that, you know, anybody with any competence can pull off. So, but that is something that, you know, for luchadors, it's just a little different to slow down like that. So it's good to learn how to slow down. And then it goes back and it helps the lucha when you go in and do the lucha. It gives some psychology to the lucha. It gives some timing to the lucha. It ends up helping.
Then all you really need to do if you're a bigger guy for a lucha, all you gotta do is just stand there and post and just basically be his guy.
Yep. And he's pretty good at that.
Yeah. Just post and bump.
So, we get Jordan Grace with Gia, no music underneath. You know, she says Mia's an obstacle and whatever, and so there's like the little babyface friction where it's like, hey, we're cool and all, but you know, when we get in that ring, you know, that old thing. It's kind
of like the exact same angle they're doing right now with the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, this is a little something like that. Except, well, there's a little. That one's a little different. I'll point that out when we get there. But yeah, this was just Jordan Grace for a mercifully short time. So that's always good. Anything to add to that?
Just your basic, you know, baby face, a little bit of tension there, but like you said.
We get more footage from Ric Flair's last match, where, speaking of the World Heavyweight Champion, he took on Jacob Fatu, and there was a non-finish when the Cardonas got involved, and then DDP came out of the audience and hit the Diamond Cutter on Cardona, and got his little moment too. So there we go. Now, Giselle versus Masha Slamovich. Ooh, Elizabeth. She's swinging. She's coming out swinging. Not only does she have the creative, she's you can always count on her. This is why we need a woman's perspective, right, in the chat, because she says Jordan needs to match her makeup better. Her neck and face don't match. Yeah, that's it, man. You know, when you got all that, you slather on all that self tanner, and then you got to put on TV makeup to keep the shine from the lights down and stuff. Which I don't know how that affects all those RGB lights. Do you need more powder for those or less? I'm not sure. Oh, we saw PCO in it. I mean, he seemed like the normal. I don't know. Anyway, Giselle versus Masha. So Giselle Shaw gets a 2 count on Masha after a flying knee, and she kicks out of a perfect German suplex from Masha. Very beautiful German suplex with a bridge. German suplex from a Russian to a whatever Giselle is, Filipino, or I don't know. Very international move though. And other than that though, it was business as usual. This was over quick, and Giselle took her beating and her snowplow. So despite getting the first, cover on Masha that anybody's got, it still basically went the same old way. So I'm digging Masha. I like this whole thing. I like everything she's doing. I like that German suplex. I have no real complaints here. This is how it's going to have to be. You got to ramp up the offense a little bit, but she still looks like a killer right now. Hey, there's another killer that just recently came to Impact, Brandon. What do you think? I don't know. One day, maybe a showdown, huh?
Maybe. I like this match. I thought it was the best match on the show, in my opinion.
Yep. What was it? 2 minutes? Pretty good.
Yep, and it was basically upgraded her from squash to enhancement match. We saw more out of Masha, made her look even more like a killer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she basically got up from that knee smiling, okay.
All right, you hit me with a few stuff, now I'm going to show you some more.
Right. Now, speaking of showing us more, we get a flashback. We get our flashback moment of the week. This is from April 5th, 2016. It's a triple threat match between Gail Kim and Madison Rain and Mia Yim, she was then known as Jade, as you said, part of the Dollhouse. And this is where Yim wins the Knockouts title. So we're showing this is just a reminder. She's been here before, can she do it again? Which that's good. That's good basic storytelling stuff.
They usually do a pretty good job of using these past moments to enhance the story that's going on at the moment. Yes.
I would not like to be the person that has to comb through the footage, but nonetheless.
Yeah, that sucks. I can't imagine what it's like being in production, having to go through hours and hours just to find the correct clip and then cut it, and that's got to be a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, anyway, give that person a raise. It's probably somebody that's already doing 3 other jobs. So after this, we get Mia Yim with Gia, no music underneath. She's interrupted by Madison. And Madison's been a little busy with AEW recently, as you may have seen. She's got a match with Jade Cargill coming up pretty soon, so that should be fun. But regardless of that, Gail shows up and books them in a match for next week. So she'll be busy here too. Boy, Madison Rain's got a lot on her plate.
They better be busy than not working.
True. Unless you're the fans, because then you got to see Madison Rain on 2 shows. Anyway, some people are into that though, so maybe that's just a me thing. I don't know. Chat, you can weigh in on Madison Rain. How much Madison Rain is too much Madison Rain? while we're waiting for those answers, we get a meeting in the stairwell for Decay. Now, you already talked about this. This is the second instance of the hideous lighting. Hideous. And I have a picture. Don't worry. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see it.
It was bad. This one was a bad lighting. Probably the worst. Worst one on this. At least this episode for sure. Definitely the worst.
It could be top 20 all time.
And that's a long list.
Anyway, Jessica, whatever, she promises that they're going to leave Emergence with the bill. That's the bottom line of this. But I know she said some other stuff. I just didn't. I couldn't take all these notes. I was just like, whatever. Let me get the point across. But if you have anything else you'd like to add, because you said this was your favorite part, so go ahead and run it down.
Yeah, these three are quickly becoming my favorite act on the show. Just the way they play off each other, they're dynamic. I forgot what it was. Something that like Jessica had said, and you can just immediately see like Taya immediately turns away. You can see her going. Just they play off each other so well. It's a great dynamic.
Yes, unfortunately, it's bathed in disgusting chromatic.
Ugh.
Ugh. It's like if a rainbow threw up.
Yes.
And it hit the wall.
A hungover puking rainbow.
That's it. Javi says she does nothing for me. Elizabeth says any Madison is too much Madison. I mean, I don't know. It looks relatively unanimous. Maybe if Canada Spaceman were here, he would defend Madison Rain. He's got a thing for, apes. Yeah. Anyway, I agree with you. I think that their chemistry on the screen and just their performance is really entertaining. And if they're not going to give me if we're done with them boys and they're not going to give me a proper moose or whatever, like, am I going to just have to look forward to Decay every week? Is that going to be the thing I look forward to? That makes me sad. Anyway, speaking of sad, here we get Violent by Design versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, I know you may have thought on past, by some of my past comments that I wouldn't watch this, but I did. They quickly showed the Ric Flair's last match footage of the Guns going over the Wolves, just to say, hey, Motor City Machine Guns win matches. And then it's no different here. Sabin wins after some crazy. It was like, what did he do? It was some jackknife pin after Alex Shelley did something.
Yeah, it was. I don't know what it was, but I liked it though. How you always keep hearing diving on the outside doesn't really make any sense, but at least in this situation, it actually played into the finish of isolating Doring, having one guy on the outside keeping an eye on him, and then having a run in to help with the pin if need be, which is what ended up happening.
Yeah, the match was fine. Afterwards, there's some heat because it's just a roll up again. We've only got one non-roll up finish here on this show, and that was Masha going over hard with the snowplow. So VBD jumps him afterwards, and then Kushida comes in to save, and then Eric Young comes in to save the save, and he hits Kushida with a pile driver, and so Violent by Design on top here. I don't know. Third roll-up finish, a third after the match, well, not the third after the match. The first match didn't have any business, but I don't know. It kind of just seems like we're seeing variations on the same exact thing. I don't know. This is what happens when you tape a lot of stuff at once, because I'm not sure if this is all chronological or if this was edited this way. If it was edited this way, that's really bad on their part. They should look at stuff that's not so similar and try to put that together.
Right, or is there a structure like we're gonna have everything on this show is this here or does anybody like production again not getting different notes or?
I would think that it would just be easier to do things chronologically so you don't have to keep track of it.
Right, and plus
I would think that.
Right, and plus you're taping it. If need be, you can reshoot something.
Right. So I don't know. All right. So after this beatdown here, we actually come back from the break right back to the Triforce, as they're known to be called, I guess. They're doing their promo. Yeah, by the elevator. They set up some. Don't think that just because it's an elevator, they didn't set up some lights by it though. They definitely did. Gross, gross lights. So anyway, the other 2/3 of the Triforce, as Chris Sabin refers to them as, challenged Violent by Design to a tag team match, playa. And Shelly says, "Hey man, hey, there's 3 of them. There's 3 of us. You know, I'll have you guys back all the way." And Josh Alexander's just conveniently walking by as he says this, and is like, "Hey man, you need to stay focused on our title match at Emergence," and then just leaves. Like, that's good. Like, he's just here to make sure that Alex Shelley's focused on the match. He's always waiting around like 6 feet away to make sure Alex doesn't say anything that would lead him to believe that he's not focused for their title match. And then he walks through the door, and then we've already got a camera set up on the other side of the door, and guess who's there? It's Fat Eddie. And he's trying to help Josh, as he says.
Well, you notice
some advice.
You notice too when he went through the door how the way the camera was set up or how the shot was a little changed, just a little bit. I think that might have been, probably could have been saying like that was maybe Eddie's cameraman that he brought in there, possibly.
Maybe. Still very convenient. Yeah, so Eddie's sitting here and he's trying to convince Josh of something, but I didn't really get it. He was very vague in his wording, which I think was on purpose, but it's basically okay. Basically, what he said was, because I don't have any notes on this, I'm trying to just recall what he said, but I think basically what he said was that he keeps saying like, "Hey, I've been here, and you know, when you're at the top of the mountain, you don't see what's down the other side, and after you're not the champion anymore, then he's not gonna, no one's gonna care about you." And then, implying that Josh Alexander's gonna have to form his own group of washed up guys or whatever to never win any matches and possibly be kicked out of the company. So I don't know. He's saying don't become like me. Josh Alexander is what I take from that. I mean, how else are we supposed to interpret this?
Well, he does have a point. I mean, look how past champions have been booked. Look where Moose is right now.
You know what? Fat Eddie does have a point. I don't know what Josh is supposed to do with this, though. I mean, he's got a match with Alex Shelley, who beat the guy that beats everybody, so maybe he is the most dangerous wrestler out there right now.
Not only beat him, made him tap.
Yeah, wow. It's amazing. Anyway, so speaking of tapping, our next match is Raj Singh versus Sami Callihan. And this is another one that doesn't last very long, and I'm very thankful for that. But Sami Callihan's not content to win with I'm not going to call it what they call it. I'm not going to disgrace Mick Foley like that. But he wins with the pile driver. Or he was going to anyway, until he decided that wasn't good enough, and then he slaps on what they call a crossface chicken wing, but I don't know what you would have called this. It's just lightly grabbing the guy's chin and bicep. There's no wing about it. This is fucking terrible, but Raj taps anyway. Yeah, it's the worst chicken wing I've ever seen. You can't even be bothered to actually apply it properly. Then why would you even want to do it? I don't even know why you would think to do it if you didn't want to do it. So, Sammy turning into a Snorlax or a black hole? Black hole Snorlax. If Fat Eddie was in WWE with their catering, he would be morbidly obese Eddie. Yeah, I mean, he would. The catering I had at WWE, not that impressive. Not that impressive. Uh, maybe they've upped their game with that too. Who knows? Um, so yeah. So Sammy calls out Moose and Bert, and he does they do this thing where Moose's music hits, and I'm like, finally a Moose entrance. Like, when's the last time we saw this? And
Yep.
fucking Burt Macklin.
Burt
I'm
fucking
like, oh
Macklin.
god, Jesus, man, I can't get anything on this show. Anyway, so Moose attempts to spear Sammy with this misdirection, and he doesn't do it. Sammy Callahan's still ready. He's still somehow ready for this. And then, he fights off both of them for a little while, but eventually they get the upper hand and they hit their finishers on him, and they leave him laying for a change.
I still thought they had Sammy coming out of this looking stronger than he should have against both of those guys. Like, why is that? Why is Sammy outsmarting Moose like that?
I guess that's his thing. He outsmarts people.
I mean,
He's
you
a
got that.
hacker. He's got the whole building lights wired to a cell phone.
Exactly. Why not have them get the jump on him, and then when he realizes he can't win, hit the lights and escape? There you go.
Cowardly babyface. There's some things that are just
Well, I kind of disagree with that. There's some situations where it's like you kind of gotta live to fight another day, and when you're fighting against Moose and Macklin, that's kind of one of those situations.
I don't
In
know.
my
I
opinion.
mean, if you're Sammy Callahan, I mean, it should be no problem. You should just kick their asses, right? I mean, I don't know.
Well, the
Dude.
way he's been booked, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of ways you could argue that, because you could also say he's crazier than he is smart, and he's more reckless than he is smart, or certainly doesn't care about preserving his life based on the type of matches he likes to have. So,
True, that
I
makes
mean,
sense. It had to make better sense with the booking.
yeah, but and plus you got to give these guys something. Like, they just beat him up. There wouldn't have been an opportunity for him to escape. So I think that's pretty good. Otherwise, what would be the option? He gets out of there somehow, and then we have the invisible wall, right, where Moose and Macklin are standing in the ring and can't go any further to get him. So we at least we avoid that situation. I don't know, but regardless, I just feel robbed of a Moose entrance. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the number one thing I always look at. Okay, so as we're going on with our Impact review here, there's another person that wants to do some reviews. Killer Kelly would like to review last week's events. She goes over the, how everything went, in her debut, and talks about it a little bit. And she has no regrets about any of it. So, very confident woman, Killer Kelly.
Like, I just don't get this. Is this supposed to make us think like she's like a ruthless killer? I mean, what has she done that other women on the roster haven't done?
Well, she filmed herself at a motel.
Ah,
Yeah, I don't remember anybody else doing that. Although I have not watched, there was a gap in Impact where I wasn't watching. So if someone got their motel shit in there and I didn't see it, we'll have to wait for a flashback moment of the week to catch, the motel thing.
and what was up with that face that she made in that promo pic?
Which face was that?
The one that came at the end of this promo.
What was it? Was it like did she do like a creepy smile or something?
It was like some weird she bent her lip in a weird way.
Oh, maybe that's one of her talents that she was exercising when she was at the motel with that mark. I don't know. This is weird. And then we get another stairwell promo for the Bullet Club now. This is another instance where they're awash in gaudy, terrible purple and God knows what other colors, lightings. I've got a picture of this as well.
It's like It's like a Nerds factory.
Nerds. The candy nerds?
Yep.
Okay. That's funny because Gallows is there and he says nerds. So that all ties in together. All right. I don't really know what they were saying. It was just one of those things where it's like every guy gets to say a little something. So I wasn't really paying attention. Was there anything significant that we should talk about this Bullet Club promo?
Not really. Kind of remind me of that Letterkenny bit where in the locker room and they keeps going like to the next guy like Boomtown, tell him or something like that, and just keep going down the line.
Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Other than the lighting, and that brings us to our main event. It is a Derby City street fight, which is different than any other street fight, because it's in the Derby City, which is Louisville. Uh, that's PCO versus Gallows here. Um, all right, well, I'll pass it over to you and let you make any comments that you want to make, because I'm sure everybody already knows what I would probably say.
The main takeaway is that there are so many just ridiculous, unsafe, unnecessary bumps taken in this. Like the one from the press off the top rope into the chairs, like under like spine into the top of the chairs. Like, come on, that's just unnecessary. Like you could actually like get crippled doing that.
Could. They love it though. Especially PCO loves it.
And then the finish just felt so weird and flat. And then the spot with the going through the ring. I mean, it sounded a lot more devastating, but it's no different than what we've seen before, just because we just actually see him going through the actual wood planks instead of like a finished, put together ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they took the ring apart, exposed the wood again. Seems to be the cool move now to do in these type of matches. Oh, look, the wood ring. Um, as there's plenty of good steel and concrete all around to use, but we got a wood ring. And yeah, so they do the kind of the Bam Bam Bigelow bump through the ring there, except it's off the top. Mm. The interesting thing though was that PCO did get the win. So does that prove his loyalty because he didn't lose? I mean, is that enough for these guys?
Yeah, that's like what exactly were the stakes on this? Like, did he say win or you're out, or you got to prove your loyalty, or just? And plus, what does he have to prove? Isn't he? Why is he hasn't been failing? At least not recently. Not in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, not recently. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's like PCO's trying to actively end his career. He must have some sort of thing worked out. Maybe he's the last person back in the 90s that took out a Lloyd's of London insurance policy or something. Back when he was Jean-Pierre Lafitte or one of the Quebecers or whatever. He got one of those policies and was just like, okay, now it's time to cash in. It's worth a lot by now, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't think of any other reason why. But yeah. Another thing I noticed while I was watching this is I like there was a spot where Gallows was like laying and his like head is outside the ring and he's just laying on his back. And I'm just looking at his stupid ass beard just sticking in the air like it just looks so ridiculous when he's just laying down like selling and he's got this beard with all these yellow rubber bands on it just sticking like it's like what is this like 8-9 inches long thing just sticking off his
He's paying tribute to Lou Albano.
Well,
Of course, his never looked that amazing.
no, it never did. Yeah, so yeah, Buckshot Kid is here saying PCO should never wrestle again with the stupid shit he does to himself. I mean, he hasn't wrestled. He just does stupid shit. He's moved into a stupid shit guy rather than a wrestler, a stunt man.
And he used to and he knows how he can work great too. I mean, I remember the stuff when he was X back when he first came into TNA. He was actually amazing in that role. I loved that. I'm surprised they didn't keep him longer with that.
Yeah, I don't know. And he also says, "I don't get why Vincent never comes out with PCO," which in this instance he did at the start and then went back. It's like Vincent comes out, like, okay, go get him, and then goes to the back, which I guess you don't really need to do. But normally in situations like this, I'm like, well, if you have a no rules match, everybody should just be out all the time, like cheating. But
And you can
in
get
that,
around that. And the storyline could have gotten you around that by having Eddie saying, "You gotta go out there and do it on your own and prove yourself to us." There you go.
yeah. So if they forgot to do that, that's their fault. If they did it and we missed it, and it was in one of those promos and I didn't pay attention to,
Our
that's
bad.
our fault. Yeah. But whoever's fault it was, um, yeah, they, one on one, PCO got the job done, and they're still probably not going to trust him. I'm sure next week they'll say something else. But yeah, so that's
Now if he fires back and says, "I'm the one winning and your guys are the ones failing," okay, maybe you might have something there.
but then he would have to talk,
Yeah.
and he
Or
doesn't do that much.
now Vincent could talk for him.
And they could be like, "We don't trust you either." I don't know what they're doing, and I don't care. I don't think there's
Actually,
any good way out of it.
actually, that could be an interesting way out of it. Is Vincent keeps sticking up for him, and because they're too afraid to do anything to PCO, they attack Vincent. PCO gets angry, attacks them. There you go.
Hmm. They could do that. Why do I, on the other hand, feel though that if anything, they're going to have Vincent turn on PCO?
Because it's predictable.
Yeah, that's what I feel like they would do. Um, why didn't PCO use the scissors? Um, I guess I'll just have to refer to the shoot reason on that because it's scissors.
Because exactly. But
That
again, I
doesn't
guess
stop anybody else though. They do all kinds of
but at
dumb
the same
shit.
time, though, it goes back to the whole Chekhov's gun rule. If you're not gonna use it, don't introduce it.
Yeah, but I mean, so there was our episode of Impact. I personally, it's weird because I almost didn't like anything on it, but I still felt like the episode was okay, despite the fact that they used the same finish 3 times. They had 2 instances of, babyface outnumbering the heel, and 1 instance of babyface heat.
Back to
Uh,
back.
yeah, and those 2 things were back to back. I don't know. It was weird, but for some reason, and despite the severe lack of Moose, or when Moose did show up, it was like still like not not satisfying Moose, I guess. Um, Despite all of that stuff, I still felt like it was okay. I don't know. It just sometimes a show just has its own. It takes on a life of its own, has its own feel. And even if I don't
Yeah.
like anything on it, I felt the same way about AEW Rampage this week. It was like, well, even though I almost didn't like anything on it, I felt like this was a good episode. Uh,
Kind of like one of those like CDs where like there's no standout hits, but like you can listen to it throughout on a road trip.
yeah, something like that. Just it's just a sense of something, I guess you get sometimes. But I don't know. We still got another episode to go before Emergence, so we're gonna have a go home. I don't think that they got me with this episode any more excited for Emergence. In fact, regardless of what they did on this episode, I'm sure I'll be dreading watching Emergence because I just don't want to sit and pay attention to a pay per view of Impact. But that's just how much I love each and every one of you guys that's watching now or listening later. Uh, I must provide the best Impact coverage available on the internet, at least the most entertaining, alongside my partner in crime, Brandon, and sometimes partner Colin, even though he didn't really watch a lot of the time either. But that's our job. We covered that up and made it seem like he watched. So I don't know. We'll just keep that going. And the next time you hear from us, it's going to be a jam packed review of the Go Home and the Emergence. And we'll do our best. Um, but Brandon, why don't you do the best you can to tell the people where they can find you, unless you have anything else you'd like to add or get off your chest.
No, I think that's it. I think we had a pretty decent show tonight. Again, the big standout is the trio of Taya, Rosemary, and Jessica with the ICK because she's sick.
Sick.
Like, this is the most personality I've seen out of her, and I'm liking it. She just those three just. I can't say enough good things about how well they play off each other and the chemistry. They would be dumb if they broke up this act right now. There is so much mileage in it.
And you know what else too? Like, it's a small thing, but it's a big thing. Is Rosemary's facial expressions when she's dealing with these two idiots is like priceless, but the way her eyes and everything are, like the way her face makeup is done, it even enhances her facial expressions even more. Right? Like her
Yeah.
eyes seem even brighter because she's got like the black and white teeth like painted onto her face and everything, which really brings her eyes out. So like when she's looking back and forth at the like, you two idiots, like it's even more. It pops off the screen.
And it's
So
that
I
and it's
love
that
it.
whole and that whole thing of like, even though like those two drive her insane and make her want to scream, deep down she really does care about them. And the whole thing just ties it all together.
Yeah. All right. Well, tie it all together and tell them where they can find you at.
You can find me at all the places, as well as Twitch at Miss Tia the Transarchist, as well as every Monday right here on the Impact Attack.
Right here. And of course, you can find me at Opinion Haver on all social medias. Don't forget to participate in my hashtag campaign, hashtag turn off the lights. Anytime you see me tweet anything in the world, I don't care. You can retweet that or quote tweet that with the hashtag turn off the lights. Even if it's not related to anything, but we want to get turn off the lights to trend at some point and shove it down that one Mark's throat. Who's like, if you go to his profile, all he has is Impact stuff on there, so he's an apologist. Um, so yes, hashtag turn off the lights. Let's do it. I need your help. So let's get that going. You can find me all the places at Opinion Ever. You can find me on the Next Level Wrestling with you, Big Ray Hernandez, every Wednesday. You can find me on um, other things like I've been on Rampage Uncaged with Dr. Jargo and Jimmy T this week. We had a fun time talking about not only Rampage but Battle of the Belts. And did we bring it in an hour? You'll just have to tune in to find out. But that was an excellent show. Please don't miss it. And I'm doing work with Jimmy T on the side too, over at the PWC, the Pro Wrestling Coalition Network. And I've been on the Wednesday night skirmish for the past 3 weeks, and I don't know how I got roped into this, but apparently I talk about Dynamite now, and then also doing an episode of Friday Night Smack Talk, as I mentioned at the top. So that's busy. That's busy. He's talking about wrestling all over the place, and so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then check it out. And like I said, at Opinion Haver everywhere, you'll be able to catch up with whatever I'm doing.
He gets around more than Vince McMahon.
All right, now wait a minute. Now, wait 1 minute. The difference is I'm doing it in front of everybody in public, and I'm not ashamed, and I have no skeletons in my closet, pal. All right, no one has to sign anything to work with me. Okay, so that being said, this has been another episode of Your Impact Attack. Thank you everybody for showing up. Good night and good morning, and we'll see you next time.
Whoop whoop. Take care, y'all.